I think the first move you have to take before suggesting the strategy is to be objective in evaluating the position. And I think that yesterday's conversation between President Trump and Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, which I think was beyond parody, but still provided us, again, it's quite valuable proof. We knew it before, but Putin saying very clearly, again, distinctly, that the war, must end with elimination of the root cause, which in his Orwellian language means destruction of Ukrainian statehood. That's the root cause of the war. So that's why for anybody in the free world who is trying to find common ground or just like middle ground, oh yes, how can we sort it out? What kind of negotiations? There's nothing to negotiate. Ukraine wants to survive, and Ukraine is now defending the free world against Russian aggression. Putin's goal was, is, and will be, and that's not me saying, I'm simply referring to what Vladimir Putin said many times, repeated yesterday, and his propaganda keeps repeating 24/7. It's a destruction of Ukrainian statehood. Ukraine doesn't exist on Putin's world map. Ukrainian nation doesn't exist in Putin's vision of the world where might is right. So by recognizing it, we come to a simple conclusion. Either Putin succeeds, God forbid, but it doesn't look so, or he has to be destroyed. So something that the leaders of the free world, starting was just from Biden, and of course now we still hear many hesitations in Europe, cannot say Ukraine must win. Three simple words. Ukraine must win, which also means Russia must lose, must be defeated. I think the idea of Russia's defeat, it paralyzes the mind of European politicians who are not known for being very brave and very resolute. And now again, we have this kind of a stalemate, because they all know deep down that unless Putin is beaten badly and Ukrainian flag is raised in Sevastopol, so nothing will change. But they can't say that because it means that Europe will have to recognize very inconvenient truths. There is a war where Ukraine is one of the elements, because Putin is at war with Europe. Again, I'm not saying that, he has been saying that. Russia is attacking Europe, not yet directly with tanks and drones and missiles, but participating, quote unquote participating, interfering in all the political processes, and unfortunately gaining ground. So the cancer spreads if you don't cut it off at early stage. That's what we're seeing in Europe now. So Europe will have to look at this harsh reality and start acting as if you're at war. And then we hopefully will have results that have been long expected but has never materialized.
And do you see any signs that Europe is beginning to realize that it's kind of on its own, and that it cannot rely on the transatlantic alliance to solve this problem? Do you see, from your perspective, any Europe making any moves in the right direction, or are they just falling into forks and traps?
Well, yes, there are some signs. Yes, there are some moves, but the moves are very small. The behavior is very timid. These signs, they are kind of very opaque. They're not clear signs. Putin doesn't believe Europe could get serious. I mean, what about the ultimatum that Europe made on May 12th? You had leaders of 4 major European countries visiting Kyiv, just sitting next to Ukrainian president and making big statements. And nothing happened. Okay, it's slow. Again, I'm not looking for just small improvements here and there. I'm looking for them to come up with a strategy of winning the war, because again, this is the war. And unlike in the game of chess, there is no tie. It's win or lose. It's black and white. It's a battle between forces of tyranny and forces of freedom. And Ukraine is a front line of this battle now. And they don't want to even contemplate publicly. Maybe they do it behind closed doors, so I doubt. The strategy of winning the war. And again, it's not rocket science. the first thing you do, you deplete the resource of your enemy. And what is Putin's strengths outside of the battlefield? Money. Where does the money come from? Cash. Oil. Where does oil go through? The north. 60% of Russian oil exports go through the north. Europe controls this northern route. Why they're still using the Danish channels? So again, it's complicated because then you have a long list of complications. And I know that. They're right. Yes, it's very difficult to find a way to confiscate Russian money, sitting $190 billion sitting in Euroclear in Belgium. Yes, it's a problem because the Saudis and Chinese will not be happy, and there are sovereign states. It's a long list of things that you have to overcome. Agreed. But the moment you accept the fact that you are at war, you have to start reconsidering your rules. You don't win the war by consensus. You win the war by fighting. And the fact is that Hungary is still there voting and standing on the way of many European decisions, and now joined by Slovakia and thanks God, not Romania. So that's clear illustration that Europe is still too shy, too weak, too indecisive to say this word. And European political structure proved to be incapable of dealing with the war challenge. Europe used to have very comfortable life, live in complacency, and now with America walking away, they're awakening, and this is a very unpleasant awakening. And it seems to me that they want to go back to sleep.
Do you think the problem is that Europe has just become too, what's the word I was going to say, bureaucratic, and bureaucracy can basically stall finding any solutions? Do you think that's a reasonable assessment?
No, it goes without saying. There's a bloated bureaucracy, but bureaucracy is a product of a state or European infrastructure that has been built by several states, and the people who fill these positions, they have been nominated by those who were elected. There is an election process, and I don't think you can separate the public that always wanted just, the comfort of the European life, and they didn't want to spend any money on defense, or just ignoring the fact that we have been under attack for quite a long time, and the politicians that also, just went along with this public sentiment. So why to bother? So that's why we are the fourth year of the war. Fourth. So counting by let's say the chronology of World War II, 39, 40, 41, 40. We're at the end of the year 42. So and Europe is still produced or provided less help for Ukraine than North Korea for Russia. You're kidding me? It's 4 years. So Europe, money is there, resources are there, manpower is there. Europe has more manpower than America. Yes, Europe was lagging behind, not enough manufacturing power for weapons, but you could have done it in 4 years' time. I'm sure in 6 months you could have beefed it up if you had this this project as your top priority. So I think that it's now again Europe will have to move. Because it's simple, it's either EU works or it doesn't, have any place on the political map. I wrote several articles recently, one for Le Figaro, two for Die Welt, just trying to push European politicians and just influence as much as I could the public opinion. Again, it's moving, but it's very slowly, because at the end of the day, it's also about national sentiments. And Ukraine is bleeding now. It's sacrificing, just defending Europe. And then you could see that in Europe, there's some nations that recognize it. I mean, I have no doubt that whatever, if worst come to the worst and Baltic nations attack, Finland will come into the war. That's again, I speculate, but that's what I feel. There's a genetic memory of Russian aggression. So obviously Baltic nations will fight as much as they could. Poles, I'm here, I don't want you to sound negative, but are you sure you will fight if you are not directly attacked? Hopefully, yes, because you also have genetic memory. But that's already questions. But the problem is you go further west. and you have less and less appetite to fight, because it's not just about the number of people who are willing to join the army or standing on the field. It's not just about all the weapons. It's about your readiness to sacrifice for defending your country. Ukrainians showed it's beyond, imaginable limits. Again, I have no doubts about Baltic nations. Again, Finland, probably Poland, but I'm not sure about Sweden. Yeah, and then again, there's the rest of the world, the Western countries, are they willing to make sacrifices? It doesn't seem so to me yet, because again, people have to understand the threat is existential. And Putin's war on Ukraine is his first step of rebooting the world order that he hates. It's not about compromises, treaties, agreements. Again, this is the normal international relations. It's about might is right, back to not 20th, maybe 19th century. And unfortunately, he definitely has a counterpart across the Atlantic that has a very similar view of global affairs.
Do you think Putin is playing a better game of chess? It is a big chessboard. It's a multi-dimensional chess game that's going on. Do you think Putin is playing a better game of chess, or do you think he's overplaying his hand and that this is more likely to not end well than end well for Putin?
As you can guess, I hear the question about Putin playing chess just very often and for quite a long time.
I'm sure you do.
Yes, it's a favorite comparison. Putin plays chess, Obama plays checkers, or now Trump plays this chess, Putin plays that chess. My response, and I'm coming very strong with my response, is that I'm here to defend the integrity of my beloved game. The game of chess has very strict rules, and it's a game where 100% of information is available. And you have, of course, element of luck, but still it's very much based on your ability to use your resources that are known for your opponents as well. Now, Vladimir Putin, if you want to find any comparison of the board game, has been successfully playing poker. Because in poker you can win by having a weak hand. If you have enough resources, cash, to bluff, and you have, it's a strong nerves to bluff. And also, if you can read your opponents at the table that do not have the same strong nerve and can fold by being paralyzed or by being, intimidated by your arrogance. And Putin kept doing it for many years. He has been winning, a game after game at this geopolitical poker table because the opposition always folded cards. We seriously believe that, Russia could challenge America? In 2008, or just attacking the Republic of Georgia, or in 2013 in Syria, or 2014. So, you're telling me that Obama could have not stopped at the annexation of Crimea? Just for a moment, replace Obama with Reagan? I don't think it will last for more than 24 hours. They go back. Again, it's a risk. But that's exactly what Putin counted for. They don't want any risk because they want to play safe. You don't play safe at the poker table. Now, with Trump, I don't know whether it's a poker or what, because are you sure Trump is playing against Putin, or just, he's just signaling him what cards have other players at the table? So, again, whatever Trump has been doing, it's obviously played straight into Putin's hands. And while I'm reluctant to answer questions about very intimate relations between Trump and KGB, so the simple question anybody has answered is what Trump would do differently if he were, I insist, if he were a Russian agent.